Welcome to a spooky edition.
Oh, stop it. So lame. Welcome back to Behind the Wheel.
Only one of us is behind the wheel.
Yeah, the only one that matters.
Oh, that's fair. I'll just listen and fire back.
Until you get a job. Your life is worthless. You're trade on society.
Are you saying work sets me free?
It'd be nice if Marxists actually worked.
You got top marks for that. He's like, are you saying? Are you saying that my gender studies will not be valued in the new world, in the new order?
That was a great meme I saw. It's like what Marxists think will happen, right? It's like art, everyone's doing art, and
finally I'm free to be myself.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then what really happens, and they're like in the fields slaving away.
In the coal mines.
In the coal mines.
Like, we don't even need coal anymore.
Yeah.
It's in the way.
Man.
So yeah, welcome back to second, third.
This
fourth?
is our third or fourth. Yeah.
Who's keeping track? This could be a prequel for all you know.
That's true. I'm not dating any of these things.
It's very harsh reality.
Oh.
That's whenever I go on Tinder, that's my outlook. I'm not dating any of these things.
What? Oh.
I'm joking. I don't go.
Have you ever seen the Venn diagram of three things?
I've seen
it's Excel. What is it? Not Simps. Incels.
Oh yeah.
So it's Excel, incels, and people eating prunes.
Okay.
And the intersection is mistaking something for a date. So great.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. There's like three totally random things. Anyway, I thought you'd appreciate that because it's a play on the three meanings of the word date. So you could do a Venn diagram for any word that has three.
I just love making the connections. That's the best thing about the internet. Is like you'll just
actually that's a good point. You could probably make clone memes if you just find words that are. Where's this guy going?
Oh, you're saying we should train an AI to make memes?
No, I'm just saying do it yourself and get popular as the originator of new memes, right? That's how you get internet clout.
Do you think people ghostwrite memes these days?
Ghostwrite memes?
Yeah, just like I'll pay someone else to shitpost.
No. What's the fun in that?
That's true.
Like that's totally counter. The whole point of shitposting is to be the one doing it. It's like, I don't have time for this. Here, Raj in India. Here's $500 a month. Just understand American culture and shitpost for 8 hours a day.
That's a fair point against like AI's ever being popular. It's like, why would it ever be popular when you can just outsource to 1,000 Indians to the job much cheaper than developing an AI?
So actually, first of all, India's getting more expensive because, market forces. And AI is so cheap. If it actually can do
Artificial Indians.
What?
AI.
Oh, jeez.
That's the logical next step.
You and your lame language puns.
Lame is subjective.
You gonna make up an acronym for it?
I already have. Oh my god. I can't even speak about it. It's too... it's not my
It's not safe for our podcast.
No,
our family-friendly podcast.
So okay. Friend of mine, let's say, was approached to make a support group for. We talked about this before. I was like, I wanted to form an association that had a support group that had the acronym BRA.
Oh yes.
It was just like it's a support group. It brings people together. It lifts and separates the soul. I don't know. So there was a lot of fun to be had with it.
Yes, it was great. It would never have flown, but it was a great idea. Maybe another support group.
Yeah.
Maybe a support group for men. It'd be perfect. They'd appreciate the humor.
Ball right activists. Ball right activists.
Oh, there you go. Ball rights activists. Yeah. You got protect the balls.
Protect the bulge right activists. It's like you got cleavage. People can put cleavage out there, but suddenly the bulge.
Did you ever see the Kevin Bacon release the bacon ads? look it up. It's great stuff.
Bacon rights activists.
He's basically saying it's not fair that there's women nudity on movies, but not male nudity.
Right.
And
Equality should go both ways.
Well, so we watched Captain Marvelous.
Captain
Fantastic, yeah. And there's a scene where his like, and Vicky's like, it's so shocking. And she's like, but how come actually, now that I think about it, why is that never in movies? And I'm like, because no woman wants to see that.
It doesn't sell. It actually
like,
puts people off.
Yeah, every single man wants to see
all the women,
in a movie, right?
And a lot of women.
And a lot of, well, like, you know, yeah. And so it's just like, but no woman's like, oh, I'd love to just see a random, like, bulge sticking out.
Oh, yeah, that's what brings me to the theater, just random sick.
It doesn't bring men to the theater either, but it's like, you know.
They're arguably a large demographic of a lot of films with men in them. Like action films, it's going to be a lot of men. They're not going to be like, oh, I want to see Arnold Schwarzenegger with his Schwartz down, his Schwartz hanging out, you know?
Oh, this COVID cough is going to kill me.
It's not a okay, yeah. That's if that was true, that would be true. You know what I mean?
I know.
So yeah, that was a joke you made. I'm just catching up with you.
Yeah,
well done. I'm proud of you.
All right, thanks. It's not a COVID cough, lady and gentlemen.
Why are we recording this? You can see absolutely nothing.
That's the fun of it.
It's the spooky edition.
It's Ireland winter where it gets dark at like 6.
What's this? Behind the steering wheel after dark, where it all comes out.
Well, we could turn one light on. I don't think it'll affect my driving.
Oh, I don't know if it'll.
Ta-da! Hey! And the Lord said, let there be light. Now I can't see anything in my rearview mirrors.
And that's the important one. That suddenly everyone around us is just going blind.
I mean, like, look, the highways are like empty this time of night.
Yeah. For all they know, we could be completely pantsless, which is why we're talking about this. You know, we're our right to be pantsless in theater. No, I don't know. What were we talking about?
Bra.
Bruh. Cool story, bruh.
Ball rights activists.
Ball rights.
Or bulge rights activists. Or bacon rights activists.
Bulge, BP, bruh. That looks like a scary pumpkin. Look at that.
What?
Up ahead, it's like the two eyes and the grimace, glowing in the dark.
That's confirmation bias. 101.
Yes. Is that
we're talking about spooky stuff, and now you see it everywhere.
Yeah. If I want something to be true, is that always confirmation bias?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I think so.
So.
Even if it's true, I think it's confirmation bias.
That's the problem. Because you can say anything is confirmation bias. You could say like, oh, you just like
truth has a confirmation bias.
Yeah, because everyone's looking for the truth ultimately.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I just see gay people everywhere. And it's like, well, maybe you're gay. He's looking for gay people to hang out with or whatever. And it's like, it's confirmation bias. It's like,
well, considering that there aren't gay people everywhere, that would be confirmation.
But that's the thing. If I see them everywhere, you can't prove that.
No, that's a different phenomenon, actually. I forget the name for it.
That's Mengelschmidt, whatever it is.
It's some really terrible.
As soon as you learn about something, you see it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're always learning about gay people.
What's your obsession with gay people? Can we have a non-gay conversation?
Not obsessed with gays. They're obsessed with me. It's a problem.
You don't even talk to anyone. What are you talking about?
Because they want to talk to me. Anyone who wants to talk to me has bad judgment.
Wait, are you serious right now?
No, I'm joking.
Okay, alright. I'm like, are you always like being approached by gay men? Because that would be news to me. I didn't realize that about you.
Like you said, I'd have to go out to be approached.
Yeah, okay. So we're back to the you don't actually meet anyone or have any friends.
Just call me out like that.
Yeah.
I have you. That'll do. That's enough for me.
Right.
If I have you, why would I need anything else? You provide all entertainment and joy in life.
You're so sweet.
I am.
You're so sweet.
Confirmation bias.
I'm your only friend.
I am your only friend. Actually, is it survivor bias?
Survivorship bias.
Yeah. They had that with in World War II. All the Spitfires that came back, they measured all the bullet holes on them, and they did a diagram. This is where they're getting shot. We need to reinforce these parts. And like, okay, cool. And then realize, all we've done is slow the plane down. The ones we should be reinforcing the parts that didn't return. Because your survivorship bias, they're coming home. The ones that got shot down are getting shot in the other parts. See what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's the way you need to reinforce.
That's
like, clearly,
funny. Yeah,
they're already being shot in those places and surviving enough to get home. That's not the problem.
That's an amazing point. Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't put it together because it's like obviously it makes sense. It's like,
well,
it's like that other meme. It's like all the participants.
XKCD, right?
Yeah.
It's like every inspirational talk should have like a survivorship bias warning. And in his example, it's like, if you really want to get rich, you should just buy lotto tickets, right? Make money and invest everything in the lotto tickets. Look at me, that's what I did, and now I'm stinking rich, right?
Hey, if it works.
Well,
that's the thing, it does work. Just
for the one in, probably in that case, because you tweak the odds a little bit, one in every 200,000. But that means there'll be 199,000 people that do that same thing and get nothing.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's like, it's ridiculous.
He said, like, there was a guy online who posted about saying, like, as a guy who made money off my lotto ticket and GME and Dogecoin, all I can say as financial advisor is be a freaking idiot this year. It works.
That's funny.
The world has gone topsy-turvy.
Actually, what is my GME stock sitting at right now?
About 190 right now.
Where did I buy it at?
You bought it at
450?
350.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
my Bitcoin investments finally broke even today.
Yes.
Bitcoin topped 60K again. I feel like I should sell and wait for it to tank.
That's the problem. You do that, and it'll jump up just to spite you.
Well, like, I don't really
and
care
everyone else who sells it.
No, because my whole strategy is like,
if you've made money, yeah. Like that was an interesting thread for me when I saw someone who had invested about 180K in Tesla back when they were like $70 each. Now they're up to nearly 900.
Yeah.
And he was showing how his 180K investment had gone up to about 25 mil or something crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm not selling, I'm going to hold for the next 25 years until they literally get to Mars kind of thing. I'm in this for the long haul.
Yeah.
And the rage, the outrage, it's like, oh my God, why aren't you selling? Like, you've made it. This is FU money. You can retire forever, just leave it. And he was like, I'm already well taken care of. Everything I put into this is completely a bonus.
What, $25 million bonus?
Well, he put 180K into it.
Yeah.
He was already earning plenty of profit.
Yeah, but I'm saying, would he not at least, because there's no dividends from that stock, would he not at least take out $1 million and buy some property or something?
Again, that's what we would do.
Yeah.
His attitude was like, if I listened to the people who are telling me to sell now, I would have sold when it was up to 100.
Yeah,
or
that's
150.
Fine. Like, I personally get really annoyed with people that stagnate cash.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I get the value will go up and it might even go up faster than other investments.
Yeah, because in each of those cases, people telling him to sell would have been right. It wouldn't have been.
Yeah, but
in hindsight, obviously not. But it would have been the smart decision.
Not even in hindsight. It still could have been the smart decision.
It was. Every single time he should have sold, it would have been the smart decision.
But not sell everything. Like, he could have sold small portions to, diversify his investments and stuff.
The thing is, he came into this diversified already. That was his counter. The thing is, like, I'm already well taken care of. I don't need to.
I mean, I get it. If the guy put 180K in Tesla and that's his diversification, then he's already got $1 million invested.
Yeah, like, he's fine. Like, he's already on another level before he even started.
Well, then it's different. Like, then 25 million might not mean that much to him.
Yeah.
Right?
He said, like, I'm going to keep it in for 25 years. It's going to be my kid's inheritance one way or the other.
Yeah. But, like, that is still a bad strategy. Like, whether it works out or not, it's not smart.
Well, he knows more about this than I do. I've never really looked into stocks that much, but he's using the fact that of the weight of the stocks as collateral to take out loans to then use them on the interests or something like that. So that's all covered.
Yeah, I mean, he still has to pay back the loans though, so like, no money's free, right?
No, of course.
And they still have to increase in value. And look, Tesla's a good company, I think, right? They're gonna grow and they're stable. And all these big companies now are pretty stable because they own assets and their business models are solid.
They know how to be successful.
Yeah.
They're good at it. They're only going to keep doing it because they can get ahead of the competition. I sold at 820 and then it went up to 870 in a few days. So it's like, am I annoyed? No, I sold it because I had a reason. It's always going to be the smart decision because that's what you needed at the time. Even if you would have made more my win currently. So I was like, it's entirely within rights to do that.
Yeah, I guess, let him have it.
Yeah. He's richer than me. I don't care for him.
Yeah.
Apparently a lot of rich people are buying, apparently the top, like about half of them or more, they're all buying bunkers.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Yes. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, it's like, here's the thing. Everyone's afraid of death.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid of total collapse, and if you're super rich and you're convinced that...
You have more to lose.
Well, no one has more to lose. But actually, I met a rich guy that was like, because of COVID, he was like, oh, now, because he was recently rich.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, now that I'm really rich, I feel like I have more to lose, so I have to take care of myself better. And I'm like, I guess he just didn't realize how totally pompous assholery that sounds, right?
A lot of people...
Oh, now that I'm rich, my life is worth more than yours, so I have to be more careful with myself.
Yeah.
When I was poor, I didn't care so much because I couldn't have, I don't know, some dramatic impact on the world. But
I mean, a lot of people genuinely don't realize just how much their life is worth for a long part of their adult life.
I guess.
It's kind of sad.
I don't know.
Like, Alexander the Great's a great example.
But that's not... Are you saying that, like, now that he has money, he feels his life is actually valuable?
No.
It just seems like now that he has money, he feels his life is more valuable than other people who don't.
That's possible.
That's how it comes across.
Yeah. But
right?
It could also mean like, oh, now that I have so much, it makes me reevaluate, like, wow, I literally have all these assets. What can I do with them? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing next? And it's like, wow, I actually have a lot to lose, as opposed to maybe 10 years ago, he was in a gutter somewhere. It's like, oh, I don't have anything to lose. Anything I do now is a bonus. Whereas if you do anything when you have like $25 million net worth, you could lose half of that very easily if you're stupid or unlucky. But yeah, could just be a pompous ass. A lot of those too.
Well, I just don't understand the logic. I guess for me, it's just like, if I suddenly became super, super rich, I wouldn't feel like my life was suddenly worth more.
No, but you literally have more to lose. That's...
No, I feel like losing your life is losing your life, whether you are losing your life plus 100 million or not, right? Like, what's...
Well, that's the absolute version of it.
That's what I don't get. Like,
if you lose a bank account of $1,000, that's your entire life savings, and it's gone. Is that worse than someone who loses $900 million, but still has $100 million?
But he wasn't talking about losing money. That's what pissed me off. He was talking about losing his life.
As in literally dying.
As in like COVID. He's like, I'm more afraid to die from COVID.
Yeah.
Because now I'm suddenly super rich, and I'm like, what an asshole!
I thought you meant like, oh, I want to live longer. I want to take care of my health more. Not like, oh, I might die. That's everyone. Yeah, fair enough, pompous asshole.
But I'm just like, I mean, how else do you interpret that?
Well, I just told you how I interpreted it.
I guess. Oh, you mean like, oh, now that I realize I can actually do something with my life.
The value of health and longevity.
Then I want to, I want to actually be healthy, and I can actually,
it's like
now that I have resources,
it's a mortality scare.
Yeah.
You know, that, like, a lot of people feel they're invincible until it slaps them in the face that they really aren't.
So now, like, oh, I'm not invincible, and I have $20 million or $100 million, so
I can start living life. I can go buy a jet ski right now. Hell, you could buy a jet ski. I could buy a jet ski.
I'm laughing because that's actually what the guy did.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Why would you not? The first thing I would do is buy a freaking island, make it entirely self-sufficient, invite all my closest friends and relatives, say, hey, you got a place here, let's
all four of them.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. Just completely took the wind out of my sails there.
Sorry. You mean the fuel out of your jet skis?
I wonder who you can count in the four. That's cute.
I just made up a random number. It's probably 10. It's hard to go under 10, no matter how pathetic you are.
Actually, because this is how sad I am. I live on Excel, I make spreadsheets. I literally made lists of the good people in my life
that you'd bring to an island if you ever won $100 million.
With contact details, like not a will, like an address book of people I would trust to have my back.
Oh wow, that is sad.
I mean, yeah.
How big was your list?
It kept growing. It was like, oh wow, I remember that guy. I spent like a few years working alongside.
How big was your list?
Oh, I mean, I can literally look it up. Let's see who's on there. Let's bring up the lists. I did the same thing with movies.
So like, I have done the thing where I've like planned out how I would spend $100 million.
Oh yeah, because you're Jewish like that. You know, you're like, I need my funds to be in this very unlikely scenario. I need it to go as efficiently as possible. That's fair. Go ahead.
No, it's more like having a sense of what matters to me and stuff, right? It's like a life, what matters in life exercise, right?
Yeah, no,
for Jewish people. I'm sorry.
What I
it's how we filter.
Yeah,
you know.
No, absolutely.
Sorry, half Jewish. I don't want to offend the Orthodox Jews out there. I'm not even Jewish. My mom's not Jewish.
Oh yeah. You have the mind style. You have the mindset and the lifestyle.
No,
you're an honorary Jew, I would say.
No. I mean, my dad being Jewish, and I was kind of raised.
Your religion is money. Come on.
No, it's not. How dare you?
You literally just planned. Okay, sorry.
It's a tool. It's a tool for evaluating.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one thing I never really appreciate because like I was.
Money is a form of love. It's only an expression of love.
That's dangerous, but I agree. As a tool, completely agree. A lot of people, because it's a substitute for time, you pay people. Time is the real resource, ultimately. You pay people for their time.
Resource, yes.
So money is the represents just how much time you have invested, ultimately. And like some people obviously haven't invested billions of dollars worth of their time. They're just more efficient about it, or they got lucky. But
actually, that's an interesting point because it makes sense on a smaller scale that money is time.
Yeah.
And it's like that sci-fi movie where money literally is time, right? And then, rich people live forever. And that's literally what it is. They have like 3,000 years, right?
Yeah.
And then everything you like scan your wrist and it takes time from you, right? So like when you want food, you like take off a couple months, right?
Yeah.
So poor people are like desperately running from job to job, trying to have enough time to live. And when their time runs out, they literally just die in the middle of wherever they are, right? It's pretty cool. It's a cool
metaphor.
Yeah, it's a great metaphor.
It's
but then I'm
not even a metaphor.
Well, I think that was the point the artists were trying to, like the filmmakers were trying to make, right?
Do you remember the name of that? I'm going to add it to my list.
It's something like time...
Time is money.
No, it's time something, like time out of time, maybe, or...
Okay.
You could probably describe the plot and get it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Everyone go watch it. Like and comment if you like the movie. Comment if you watched it. Comment if you didn't watch it. Subscribe, especially.
Are you talking to the audience?
No, I'm talking to you. You should like your own video. That's worse.
Don't do that.
It's also inefficient.
Yeah.
Because like the most you can ever do is increase your likes by 100%.
What?
Because if you like your own video, you now have 2 likes. And that's the most efficient it can ever be, unless you get.
No, I'm talking about like asking the audience to do it is a bit of like.
Oh yeah, no, that was skeevy. I was joking.
Yeah, no.
Sort of. If they do it, I'm not gonna.
But I was gonna make a point because you were saying time is money, right?
Yeah, literally.
Or money is time.
Yeah.
But then when you're a billionaire, because it's not the sci-fi future where you can live forever.
Yeah, there's still a finite point.
And that's very interesting because I feel like. So I've been trying to work on this theory of economics, and I've been trying to argue that there's a difference between multimillionaires and billionaires, right?
Yeah. It's like a different scale.
I'm pro-capitalism. I love capitalism.
Yeah. Who isn't?
Socialist bastards. But so I'm very pro-capitalism, right? But I feel like there's a problem with billionaires.
Yeah.
Right? And it's very hard to articulate because it does counter like the general like free will and personal responsibility part of the narrative, right? And this is the battle you see all the time in these conversations where the people are like, we should be taking care of everyone and billionaires are selfish, versus the people are like, people need to have personal responsibility and it really has to be something that, it's not valuable if you're not doing it yourself. If the government's taking care of you, like we should take care of each other as human beings.
Yeah.
Maybe you can have a little safety net, but the temptation is always to give the government more power and give more safety nets, right?
Yeah.
And then it just gets out of control. And that's what we have now, where the government's literally just paying people to stay home for their protection, quote unquote.
The government's protection, really.
No, not the government's protection, but it collapses.
It is. That's how it is. It's like stay at home or you'll realize you can topple us much easier than what you think you can.
No, that's not why they're doing it. They're doing it because they have a misguided sense of safety over liberty, right? That's always the argument. Oh, 100% that's true. There's no reason to assume maliciousness when people are stupid enough.
If they genuinely don't care about what they're doing to people.
That's malicious. Not caring is malicious.
That's sociopathy.
Yeah, so you're arguing that the entire government is sociopathic.
Not the entire government, just enough people that can take...
To pass a law and get enough support that they can have people vote for them for passing such laws. Like, no way.
If you're in enough, like, it doesn't even need to be, like, it's just simple greed up to a certain point. Is greed maliciousness? Or is it
How is it greed giving everyone money?
I mean, are you talking bribes? Or
I'm talking about the government paying people to stay home.
When did that stopped ages ago?
No, not in America. Biden came to power and passed a bill. After the first bill, he passed a bill to extend all the unemployment benefits for an extra, 6 months or whatever, and get more benefits to people. It's like a $2 trillion bill.
Because I heard the stimulus check didn't go through properly. It was supposed to be 2,000 and that never ended up anywhere. So
it was 600 the first time.
Yeah, which was under Trump.
Yes.
Okay.
Biden came to power and passed a $1,400 stimulus check.
Okay.
Right? And there were some other benefits dispersed in there, right?
So what incentive is there to work now if there's vaccine mandates?
That's why there's a massive job crisis in the country. Yeah, this is the point I'm getting to.
There's a labor shortage, absolutely.
There's an absolute labor shortage because you're hiring people and forcing people to get vaccinated.
But now,
and people are paid to stay home. So even before the vaccine mandates, low-wage jobs were such a struggle to get people into, right?
You know what?
100% based on government policy. Misguided government policy based on safety over personal responsibility. Liberty, essentially. Safety over individual responsibility.
You know, to answer your question earlier, where it wouldn't matter if how much money you gave to people. Was it $2 trillion?
Well, it was $1,400 a person, right? It came out to about $2 trillion.
Okay.
Plus a lot of benefits.
What if the economy crashed and all that money was now worthless?
But that's what the Republicans are saying. That you do stupid policies like that. You can't give people money.
Yeah.
Right? So ultimately, the policy is dumb. Because it's causing inflation, right?
Yeah.
So, wages were going up, but inflation went up 5.4% this year. So that
everyone who worked hard is now poorer than before, essentially. Their money is worth less.
Yes.
Oh, great.
So the whole point, but this is the problem with government coming in and government policy. And my whole point is that's my point. Like, that's why I'm pro-capitalism, pro-kind of individual responsibility.
Yeah, because this isn't capitalism in its real form, is it?
No, but there's never been true communism. Like, you can always make that argument, right?
No, yeah, I wasn't saying like that. That's what I mean.
But
like,
my point
it's
is
not a real capitalist society.
Yeah, but real capitalism has never been tried, and that's okay.
Well, we should try it.
I don't think we want to try real capitalism. I'm okay with some government controls. I'm not.
Yeah.
Because then there's people who argue that we should just be anarchists, and that will be a better system because it's true laissez-faire capitalism.
Yeah.
Or however you pronounce that French word.
Laissez-faire.
Yeah. It's French. I don't care.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
I like French
is
people,
like,
but
yeah. French is like
the language is too weird for me.
The French language is like the inflation of languages. No one cares. It doesn't matter. It has no value anymore.
So, but my point, getting back to Billionaires, is, see, I don't want the government being too strong, right?
Yeah.
Because that's dangerous. It causes inflation.
That's just centralization of power.
Yeah, and it has unintended consequences, and eventually, all the good intentions, right, just ruin everything.
Yeah.
So there's a famous quote where from, I think it was Ben Franklin, but those who would sacrifice freedom for safety deserve neither, right? And that's my point. All this is motivated by a desire to keep people safe, and COVID is a perfect example of it. Oh, we'll keep you safe, we'll protect you, we'll pay for you to stay home so that you're more safe. You can be you more safe, we can give you more money, we can give you more benefits. We can do more and more and more, and the whole thing collapses. And just like you said, well, then you get inflation, right? And then all those benefits are totally worthless, right? You know, we can collectivize the farms and everyone's equal, but there's not enough food to feed everyone, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's kind of having the end result of communism anyway.
Well, the more government control there is. So my point is the battle is between government control and individual responsibility.
Yeah.
And there should be some balance somewhere.
There should always be a balance, absolutely.
And I guess this is, you know, so people are extreme on both ends, right? And they're like, oh no, we need more benefits. You know, people are suffering. We need to give more money. We need to do more things, right?
Do you find that's an inherent problem with America in general, and a lot of Western society, in that it is very much an either or society? There's very little middle ground because you're raised on it's either this or that, right or left, blue or red, this team or that team.
Only in the very partisan circles, and I think what you have is you have a tri-vision where you have, in America, you have 30% that are super political on one party, 30% that are super political on another party, and 30% in the middle that actually just can live their lives without caring, right?
That doesn't work in a democratic republic. That middle will never be represented because they're not the majority.
Well, they're the swing votes. So they determine who becomes president, right? The problem with Trump was he didn't win that middle. He had the right. He had 98% support among Republicans or something, right? The problem was he put off the people in the middle. He didn't get support. Like him and Joe Biden split the middle enough that Joe Biden won.
And
right?
the corruption and the fake fat ballots and the other thing, but yeah.
Well, I genuinely don't, like, if there was corruption, it's on a scale that didn't really change the election. Like, Trump failed in the way he communicated about COVID.
Yeah.
And of course the media helped Biden and cover things up about Biden and put Biden.
The media was a little biased?
I mean, it's
Would
just...
you even suggest such things?
It's so gross, right? It's like, even, I don't know if you saw the stuff about Joe Rogan meeting with CNN Sanjay Gupta.
Oh, no.
He was like, he had this great line. He's like, why was CNN lying about me saying I was eating horse dewormer, right? He's like, I can afford people medicine, motherfucker. It's the best line ever, right? And the doctor there was like, he's such a weasel because he's like, oh, I don't know why. No, what did they say about you? Were they really lying? He's like, yeah, they were lying. He's like, they said I had a horse dewormer. He's like, oh, and then he was finally like, oh, they shouldn't have said that. He's like, well, why'd they say that? Well, I don't know. And then he goes on CNN after that. And one of the CNN hosts was like, we weren't lying. It is a horse dewormer, right? And it's like, and he was trying to correct him, and then the guy overread him, and he's such a weak ass loser, right?
That's an interesting. Okay, why are places like CNN, which are obviously biased?
Well, they're losing viewership. That's the point. They
why
could
are they
sell
allowed to continue? Like it's
because it's a free market. You don't want. What do you mean allowed to continue? You want them to be banned?
Well, it's political. But that's,
what do you want?
What's their main competitor? Because there's
everybody. Every YouTube channel is a competitor.
Oh.
Every other news channel. Fox News is a competitor. Fox News gets much more viewership.
Okay, what's
right?
Amazon's competitor?
Amazon's competitor?
Yeah.
Every retail shop.
No,
Walmart.
Don't give me that. There's
Walmart's the competitor.
Amazon's competitor is China as a country. That's the only thing that would ever come close. And half of Amazon is China.
Walmart is a genuine competitor to Amazon. They
in America.
Globally, because Walmart owns ASOS and...
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
They own a lot of the...
Fair enough.
Yeah, the UK...
Oh, they own Asda, actually.
Asda, sorry, not ASOS, Asda.
Okay.
So the point is the big retail chains, even Tesco is in somewhat of a competition, right?
It's the same, like at McDonald's, though. It's bigger than every other competitor combined.
There's more Subways than McDonald's in the U.S. in terms of physical stores.
McDonald's actually, most of their income comes from retail as opposed to the McDonald's chains.
What do you mean retail?
Because they own more land than I think any other company or...
Oh, that's not retail, you mean real estate.
Sorry, real estate, yes.
Well, do they make income off real estate?
Yeah.
How?
They rent it out.
What, to the franchisees?
They sell it. Or I saw statistics. I didn't read everything into it. I don't work like that. I like to I cherry pick what I want to hear.
You read it online and read it. You saw it in a meme.
God, I hate
now
Reddit.
It's fact.
I genuinely tried to give Reddit a chance, but it's such a... Because every website, every community is going to be an echo chamber at some point.
Yeah,
it attracts a certain amount of people. Those people will reinforce each other, but Reddit is on a different level entirely. And it's genuinely... feels so slimy to even go on. It's like, because it's so good for cultures, like interest groups. They have a subreddit for everything. It's fantastic in design, but in concept, in how it's run, how it feels, it just, I feel gross telling people I've been on Reddit,
So what I didn't finish was my billionaire point.
Carry on.
Because I agree, I've never really gone on Reddit. I was thinking about going on like the Mooney Reddit, and I was like, it's too emotionally draining. Right?
Yeah.
Like I
Too
can't.
much power to powerless, weak people. That's what it gives.
Okay, fair enough. More than 4chan, or?
I mean, 4chan.
Well, I wouldn't call them powerless.
Yeah, 4chan.
Whether they're powerless or not, I'd be afraid to call them powerless. Yeah. Which means they're pretty powerful.
4chan will hunt you down in an afternoon.
I love you, 4chan. I've never met you, but I still love you. Don't hurt me.
4chan's done more.
Don't destroy
good
my
than
presidential
harm.
chances.
4 chances. Anyway.
But my point about billionaires is it doesn't sit right with me, right? And for my life, I've been trying to understand how I balance that, because I guess what I feel like is it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much power in a single person. I think when you get back to the problem with governments, it's actually on the flip side, it's the same problem with big corporations. Governments are just bigger. Like, people don't realize how much bigger a government is than a corporation. Google manages an 80, maybe 100, Apple and Google each, let's say, manage $100 billion in reserves. Right? So that's cash they own after everything, right? And then they make about $20-30 billion a year in profits, right? So you're talking about maybe be generous and double it. It's $200 billion, right?
Right.
That's what they're worth, right? Now that's not their market cap or anything, so their market cap's pretty good, but that's how much money is floating around.
Yeah.
That the board of directors controls.
And
right?
$1 billion is already like an incalculable scale for the average. Like this.
But the government has a $4 billion budget every year and growing, right? So $1 trillion. So it's operating on a 10 times scale, right? And I'd love, one thing I want to do eventually is do the math of like how much people are involved in the movement of that money in a large corporation versus the government, right? Because the board of directors is very small, but also Congress and the Senate and the executive branch are relatively small.
Yeah.
Right? For that volume of money. So I think what really bothers me about the billionaire question is it's the same problem. It's the amount of money per individual control, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the real problem with government, is it's centralizing power in a smaller group of people, right? That make the decisions. And that's why those decisions are incredibly unnuanced and terrible, right?
That's always been the problem. It's just kind of gotten easier to manage over the last few years.
Yeah, and so that's my problem with actually cash reserves of companies and incredibly wealthy individuals, is somehow it strikes me as being morally wrong. And I don't think it's because they got it by ill-gotten means or anything, or there was some abuse, but it's almost like if you get that much money, it should be spent. I guess that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, it needs to circulate, it needs to move.
Yeah.
And if you don't spend it, it kind of gets wasted.
Yeah, because there's only so much money relatively in the world, and that will keep increasing. But if your percentage of it, you demand more of it than, say, an entire country's GDP.
I mean, I guess this is when it comes down to it, I wouldn't want to own $1 billion. Like, I'd spend it and be gone, right?
Because if you go to your family's dinner, everyone's entitled to a fair portion, right? Imagine if one person took the entire dinner and gave everyone else a chicken nugget.
I don't know. That strikes me as a socialism argument. socialist bastards.
Well, I'm not saying everyone's entitled. It's more of an unspoken thing. It's like,
Yeah, but that's a family, right?
Me and you eat more than the average person of the family. And everyone acknowledges that. It's unspoken, like, all right, I'm going to take half of this lasagna. You get a full
You know what? Actually, no, it might be a good analogy because it's not about it being fair how much you eat because people can eat as much as they want.
Yeah.
It's more like if you were a glutton.
That's what I'm saying.
And you sat at the table and you're like, I want to eat.
And then take
10 times
home.
As much as everyone else here.
That's what they're doing. They're taking food.
And you have to, and I'll cook it for myself, but I'm going to sit here and eat it, right?
Yeah. And then I'm going to make a throne out of all the tinned goods of everyone else.
And it's not even the problem that it's unhealthy for you and it's such a waste of food, right?
But there are people who could eat.
Yeah, it's like, it's selfish. And I think that's what it comes down to for billionaires for me, is that it's selfish, right? Like,
it is entirely self-centered.
Yeah, and even owning a company like Amazon, like Jeff Bezos, right? Well, it's all in his stock, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, then he doesn't need to own $1 billion company. He can diversify that stock, right? He can spin up separate companies with the stock and have it and hand it over to other, brilliant minds that need an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not like the guy who was like asking Tesla to be on the board of directors, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that clip.
No.
Oh, it's this guy at a Q&A with Elon Musk, and he's like, hey, I'm also a level 3 genius or something, right? And he's like, and no one's ever looked at me, given me a second chance, and I'd really love it if you gave me, gave me a second look and gave me an opportunity. And Elon was like, what are you talking about? What do you want? And he's like, well, for the good of the shareholders, I think I should be appointed to the board of directors of Tesla. Everyone burst out laughing. And he was so dead serious, right?
I mean,
and I'm just like, the guy was obviously autistic or something. Like, he just really didn't get.
You can only get there by being genuine.
Yeah, but I was like, that's not what I mean with Jeff Bezos, right? Like, it's not like I want him to give me like 2% of his company to do something. But I just mean like,
there are better ways to spend that much money.
Yeah, or even to own that much money, because you can't spend the stock; you'd have to sell it, right?
Yeah.
So like, I get that. Like, I'm not saying he should sell all his stock and then give his money away, but I'm
because
just
then
like,
the company would quickly liquidate.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not that. It's more like he can't control it anyway. I guess that's my point. Like, he can't control the whole company efficiently or in any way, right? And it's like,
because a lot of a company's wealth goes back into the company, obviously, to keep it going and improve. So it's not only sustaining itself, it's reinvesting, and so it will keep going on and up. And it's like, what's the end goal? Is it just going to keep going until Amazon is, for example, the only company? Because it can feel like that some days. But then...
Well, see, I think the way the companies see it, we're innovating or improving people's lives, like, but there's always competition, right? And that's why, like, Amazon forces Walmart to innovate and do more online stuff. Like, Walmart has been so slow to go online and have good online experiences, and Amazon forces them to, right? And so Walmart has to develop better delivery systems and online shopping experiences. Like, they have to genuinely compete.
That is my problem. Again, a lot of people will say, like, oh, like, stop using it, we're boycotting Amazon, like, use other retailers. Like, I've tried.
Yeah, they all suck. They still suck.
Exactly.
Like, what blows my mind is retailers still suck at online shopping.
I don't get it. They have a perfect example of how to do it well.
Yeah.
There's the reason I keep shopping there is because no one else offers what Amazon does.
Yeah, well, it's not even what Amazon does. Even to just have all your stock online, like, that is not hard.
No.
But companies don't want to do it.
A lot of companies are like, oh, this is a local company. It has a good price. 0 reviews. I have no idea if this thing is any good. You go on Amazon, like, 500 reviews. 50 of them are probably fake, but that's fine. Like, the
vast majority,
Yeah, you'll get, like, enough of an honesty back. Some people post videos, like, look, this is me.
But the problem is these small companies, they don't have the expertise.
It's not even small. It's like...
Well, it's when they're big, it's really stupid. Yes,
yeah, it's like you have no excuse not to suck at this.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's what annoys me. Like, it's small company, all right, you get it. You're learning. You're gonna get there. But it's like, you're big. You have the money. You have the power.
Yeah. No, it's just bad decision making, right?
Yeah.
In which case, Amazon can put them all out of business. I don't care. But I don't order from Amazon. I don't like Amazon services. But not that I hate it, and I order from them sometimes, but they don't solve all the problems, right?
No.
So I actually like shopping in person the few times I ever shop.
Shopping in person is pretty much always the way to go.
I like shopping more on local sites.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just like, but it is slightly more annoying, and I'm like in the checkout going, ugh, idiots, right?
If it's like something you need on regular, like I would order toilet paper online, for example, because I don't
never do that.
It's just easy to buy in bulk.
Well, the thing is, but then we have our toilet paper in our Tesco delivery, and that's something Tesco improved because of COVID.
You get it sent to you. You get it sent online.
They were doing it before COVID, right?
Yeah, Tesco did pretty well.
They only did in the last 2 years, right? It's like it wasn't. Amazon's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
For them not to have done it much sooner, right? So I'm not hating on Amazon for being successful. Success is good.
Yeah, my issue is why aren't other companies keeping up?
Yeah,
why are they allowing this one big company?
But if they don't, because they can still survive. Is it because not everyone's shopping online, right? But COVID, something like COVID really...
do both.
I know, but when you can still make profit, like if you're not actually going out of business, it's really hard to actually believe, like actually make the effort to innovate, right?
That's what life is about. It's about innovating.
Of course,
and moving
and then
changing.
Like something like COVID hits, and then they have no choice, or they missed out, right?
Yeah.
They weren't prepared for the shock.
It forces it. This is like what's been known as an extinction event in a way, that it forces adaptation.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good in some ways. Like,
I guess my final point about the billionaires, and especially, and I guess at the end of the day, I don't think government should enforce this. And I guess this is where the contradiction comes.
You can't enforce these things.
You can't enforce these things.
Yeah.
It's more like, I think there has to be a cultural, like, belief that people shouldn't be billionaires.
Yeah.
Like, they should be successful, but if they get way past any reasonable amount of success, then they should be more efficient with their money and not hold on to it.
Yeah.
And the time thing, the reason I thought like I liked the time analogy is I was trying to think like, well, where's the limit then? It's all arbitrary. Like, where do you draw a limit of like how much money is too much? Yeah. Is it 100 million is too much? Is it 500 million? Is it 1 billion? Is it 10 billion? Is it 100 billion?
Well, the value of money will change. It'll depend on the country as well.
Well, I know, but you can adjust for inflation or whatever. But my point is, there might be a way, and I have to investigate this, where you can actually do a time thing.
Like a karma system.
Well, like a time system, like how much money could you actually spend on yourself throughout your whole life if you bought the most expensive of everything?
Well, that's the thing. Like, as has been proven, people earn like $180 million in a year, and it's gone the next year. So there are industries based on appealing to millionaires.
Yeah, but you could put some rules around it, right? But I think you could actually come up with a formula that goes, you make this amount, you're set for life, and you always have the best for the rest of your life. You've won.
Yeah.
So anything above that number, and then you just adjust it for inflation whenever you do the calculation.
You can choose who it goes to, in a way.
Then you really should be moving it somewhere, right? Yeah. It should be reinvested in companies. It should be reinvested in people.
Yeah,
like
that's a good idea. I like that. Like,
so,
you work this hard. You work hard enough. You get to, let's say, a retirement age or whatever. Like, the retirement age is kind of...
Like, let's say you become that rich at 20. My point is that if you have this much money, you put this much into retirement,
you're set.
You're set, and you always can buy... You can always go to the most expensive restaurant, like, twice a week, because you're not going to go every day.
Yeah.
Right? You can always live in the nicest places and maintain them, right? You can buy the richest house and have 3 extra houses. Like, some formula like that, right? And then everything above
private
that...
jet.
Yeah. And then, like, because
a swimming pool.
But then I think you can do the formula for companies as well. Because the other thing that blows my mind.
The problem would be there would always be someone trying to find a way out of it, unless you improve the cultural heart.
Well, yeah, but my point is, that is my point.
Yeah.
People have to, but people generally want to do the right thing.
Generally,
right?
yeah.
Like Elon Musk is investing all his money in space travel because he's like, I think we need to get off world. It's the most important for the species. Yeah. Other people might disagree with that. But I'm kind of okay with that because it's like I'm spending the money for this purpose, right?
Yeah, it's going to happen one way or the other. He might as well be the first one there.
Yeah, but then like a company like Google and Apple, they're sitting on $100 billion. They literally have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
And they don't need it for acquisition. There's no company they're going to buy for more than $10 billion.
Because
right?
people can't conceive of that much money. They don't know.
Well, they can. There are companies you can buy for $1 billion, $2 billion,
yeah, but it's
$3
just
billion.
a number. They don't actually know how much that is, other than it's a lot.
Yeah, but I guess my point is that what bothers me about that, sitting on that amount of money, is then you go to the World Food Program in the UN, and they're like, we could, feed every child that dies from malnutrition for $10 billion a year.
And then what if next year there's more children?
Well, my point is that it isn't even $10 billion a year. It's like $2 billion a year.
Okay, but
right?
then once you feed them, what point do they need to stop being fed?
Well, the argument is if they can live, then they can be productive, and there can be. But you're right. There's infrastructure problems. But that's why when I did the calculation, I'm like, well, $2 billion you stop them from dying. Another $3 billion you build infrastructure around them, right? You build roads. You establish economies.
There's a standard these days, like everyone should have. Like I think we all common accept roads are good, internet's good, hygiene is good, water is good.
Yeah. So I'm saying so a company sits on $80 billion, and we know the UN Food Program could save 10 million children a year with $2 billion.
Yeah. How could you sit on that? Like,
how can you sit on it? Yeah. How can you sit on it, right? And so that is that should just be like, well, you know what? Yeah, let's solve this one problem. Now, and the problem is everyone's like, well, what's most important? Da 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 da. And I'm like, well,
take care of one, then just keep going.
Yeah, I think stopping kids from dying is a good, at least that's my view. But yeah, fine, pick another pet project. But
there's enough money to do it all, honestly.
Yeah, but don't throw $10 million a year or $100 million a year at a whole bunch of charities and feel like you know.
Charities take 90% of it back. That's what.
No, they don't.
No, it's true.
They all have. So look, the top charities they actually do the numbers in their annual reports. You should read the top charities' annual reports.
I'm very skeptical of someone telling me how much they do, so I don't investigate them.
Well, they have to. These are things that can be audited by third parties. That's why they do these things. The West has done a good job.
If, for example, I'm paying myself $1 billion, someone does the audit, I give them $50,000 not to do the audit properly, I've made a profit of $1 billion minus $50,000.
Dude, if you're gonna be that skeptical, you might as well just stay in your room and play games all day.
That's not true. That's why you fight against these things. That's like saying, if you're gonna believe
no,
people
but I'm
are
saying
bad,
I'm just saying these charities are doing some of the best work in the world, genuinely, for people. They're trying their best. They have so much scrutiny, so much government law.
That they're all doing their best. That just isn't true of anybody anywhere.
In other words, there could be corruption in isolated instances, but the company as a whole, which has to report into charity bodies, which gets a lot of scrutiny, that has to be super transparent, that raises a lot of money, I
want to believe you. Again.
Well, I've read these annual reports, and I believe them because they're very detailed.
And the news is also being biased and fed to us in ways that is propaganda. So it's I can no longer trust those news sources.
It has no expertise. It's not like everything's false. The news literally is too short to have nuance. An annual report prepared by a charity.
Even a written report, a written news report.
Yes.
Like an article.
Like an article, yeah. None of them have nuance. They're all shortened to You ever read a news article that was more than 10 paragraphs?
No, that's true.
Yeah, and there are ones that have more than 10 paragraphs. Yeah. I've read ones that have more than 10 paragraphs.
But it's not just it's the when you have lots of articles. It's not just one article. It's always the general policy of either a writer.
And I'll tell you that if you read the news as a whole, there's more truth than falsehood. But when there's no nuance, you follow it up.
Yeah. When it's twisted, is it still the truth?
Yes, because you can still find the original materials and find out the full story.
Okay.
If you're an expert in that field, the full story exists.
That's the point. I shouldn't have to be an expert in my field.
You don't have to be an expert in the field.
Unbiased opinion.
No. you'll always get a biased opinion. But if you read the source data, you can actually get good data that you can actually parse. So let's give a perfect example. Whenever there's a scientific study, there's the media report on it, right? The media report is always wrong. It's always biased. It's always too short. It has no nuance.
So why do we have the media in that case? If it doesn't do its job of objective journalism anymore, it's objectively not needed. It's just someone telling us what he thinks.
That's exactly what it is, yes. But the difference is, well, this report came out, you got a synopsis of it and someone's opinion of it. You can go read the report now.
But it's gone a step further than that. Like, now it's being used to tell people what to do.
Yeah, but people are people. You can never tell people. They can choose if they listen to this person or this person.
But people are stupid. That's the problem.
But that's also the problem with the news reporters. They're stupid. Their job isn't to be experts in these fields. They just get the snapshot someone gives them.
I would think that if you're going to work for something, you should be an
Not
expert.
the anchors. The news reporter should be more objective.
Oh, the anchor's just a mouthpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
They should not, arguably, we shouldn't even need human anchors. We can just get a robot that's a voice box. Like Siri is an anchor in that way. It's just a voice box for someone's opinion.
Yeah, but let's put it this way. If you ever know something about a topic and watch a news report on it, they'll always say something wrong. Yeah, they'll always say something wrong. They miss all the nuance. But there's no way you can be nuanced on something. If all you do is watch the news, you will have a terrible opinion on all subjects. It'll just be misinformed. You can't solve that.
Yes, you can.
Well, you solve it from the internet. The internet has already solved this because you can go, oh, let me go read that report. It's easy to get. I'll go read it. And even just reading the abstract synopsis from the actual study, you get a pretty good idea of what the research was about, the methodology they used, and the conclusions they came to.
But that's the point of the news, is that the average person shouldn't have to do that. But if they now have to do that to get the actual facts, the news is pointless.
So the real point of the news is to hold the government accountable.
But what if it's been twisted? Now it's used. Okay.
Yeah. And the problem with the news is actually it is doing that, but it's doing it in a hyper-partisan way so that you have a Republican news station and a Democratic news station, and that's the problem.
What if they're quiet on something they shouldn't be about? Like if they're genuinely cherry-picking.
But that's my point.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is you have two news systems now. And this is purely because of partisanship. And yeah, it's dangerous and we should try to fix it. But the point is now it's like the free market capitalist news. So some people go and listen to the Republican newscast, which holds Democrat governments accountable. And then, then you go read if you're a Democrat, you watch the Democrat newscast, and that holds Republican accountable, right? So look, if you were a Republican when Trump was in office and you only watched Fox News, your view of Trump would be way too skewed, right? Like, Trump wasn't awful, but he wasn't great, especially on some very specific things that he was bad at.
He did a lot of good things, but he was not a good person or even a great president.
You can't even judge if he was a good person or not. Great president.
Okay, that's my opinion. Yeah. I should go on the news.
Yeah, but that's why we do podcasts now, right? Podcasts are news. Like that's all it is now.
Oh crap! Now I have to be informed on whatever I talk about.
There you go. That's the solution.
I'm holding myself accountable.
So, in conclusion, because we reached the end of our journey.
Yeah. So basically,
you need to know what you're talking about.
And the power should trickle down to the people, as opposed to centralized to multinational.
Yeah, decentralized.
Multi-billionaires.
Yeah, I think that's the solution. Is even billionaires are a form of centralization.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we should. I don't think we can force. Like I think, but I don't think people should want it.
There should be a ceiling.
And but I don't think you can enforce the ceiling.
No, of course, it's more of
maybe you can enforce a social belief, a moral standard that billionaires would want to adhere to. And maybe that is the most naive and optimistic and stupid thing anyone has ever said. But I'm gonna go on that.
It's a good ideal to you always have to have ideals, dreams, because that means you have a plan and a goal.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this: if I ever become a billionaire, you'll know that I was so full of shit.
Oh, my diamond-crusted island.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what? F this.
Yeah. I have a pool for my helicopter.
And on that happy note, we'll say goodnight.
Good night and happy Halloween.
Yep.